Yeah, Philip, good morning.
Good morning, Daniel. How are you?
All right, all right. So we will begin. I am fine, by the way, Philip. I hope you are as well.
Yes, I am.
Beautiful, beautiful. So let's cut to the chase of the issue.
Okay.
Before we go to zoom in to zone in on the energy sector, give us some brief highlights, Philip.
Okay. So thank you very much, and then good morning again to you and then all listeners. So yeah, after a long wait, as you can imagine,
that alone was
yes, that alone was a bit funny because we were waiting. I thought it would be 10, I thought it would be 11, 12, then finally 1 something. The finance minister comes, and then finally the work began. So yesterday he satisfied his legal requirements under the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921, and then he came to give us a wrap of events from the last time he gave the budget. That's in November 15, 2018. Till date, what has transpired in the economy. He spoke about the financial sector, he spoke about the macro targets, inflation, Bank of Ghana's monetary policy. He gave us a wrap of all those. Then he went to where we were all expecting he would go, to the taxes. What most people were looking forward to in terms of hearing what he was going to say, but not really happy with the taxes he was introducing into the system. Because, in this part of the world, and I'm sure in other parts of the world, anytime taxes are mentioned, people are not happy. But that's the only way government can raise revenue, apart from borrowing and apart from non-tax revenue. So taxing is important, but given our macro development or where we are as a country, Ghana, people don't want to hear a lot of taxes. They want to see things going on, but we don't want to hear taxes. So yesterday, first one, taxes in the energy sector, and I'm sure Ben will do justice to that as we go on. Then the communication service tax also came. And then the very interesting part that I found was the withdrawal. I'll use the word withdrawal because I really don't know whether it's a complete cancellation of this luxury vehicle tax or they're just taking it out to review it and see what again they can do to it, whether they can tweak it a bit. But for now, we are happy that it's out to the system because some of us who play
drive big cars,
who play in that space, going to DVLA to pay that 1,000 Ghana, it's not at all. So, so yes, news. As soon as I heard, I was like, thank God, it's out. And then the finance minister says he wants to spend a bit more. Last year, he says when he presented the budget, he said he wants to do about 78 billion Ghana cedis. Now he's going up to about 85 billion. So that's roughly 6 billion more than what he originally planned to spend. So now you ask yourself, okay, 78 billion, now he's going up. And to the uninformed, they start asking questions. What is he going to spend it on? Where is he going to get the money from? These are the two key questions to someone who doesn't really follow issues of economics, finance, or budgets, or whatever. Where is the money going to come from? And what are we spending it on? But you see the constraints that are in the system with regards to our revenue raising and our expenditure. And some people were really looking forward to seeing innovative ways from the Ministry of Finance on how to raise revenue or how to introduce taxes without letting it be so burdensome to the ordinary Ghanaian. Okay. But as you can see from yesterday till today, you see that most people, all things being equal, are complaining about some of these taxes and its burdensome nature. If you look at what is going to be slapped on the petroleum products, petrol, diesel, LPG, you realize that all of us, whether you drive your own vehicle or you use public transport, in one way or the other, all things being equal, you'll be paying for something more. And most of the goods in this country are hauled or transported through vehicles. So that has an impact on when things are coming from the hinterlands to Accra to be sold. Something is put on the prices of that. And that also feeds into the inflationary expectations in the country. And you realize that we meaning Ministry of Finance, had a target of 8% for inflation. Bank of Ghana has a target of between 6 to 10%. Now we are doing 9.1%. So the question is, will these expansionary fiscal measures affect the monetary side of the economy? And we want to see what will happen at the next Monetary Policy Committee meeting, where the governor will come and tell us what has gone on just yesterday till the next MPC meeting, which should be somewhere in September, will affect us. So I'll say yes, it was good hearing from the Ministry of Finance or from the Minister of Finance how far the country has gone. And also he spoke about the financial sector issues and the cost of it to the economy.
Very staggering, isn't
yes,
it?
you see, Daniel, that's just the explicit cost. What about the implicit cost of it? Because we've seen the microfinance sector, and we are expecting that the savings and loans, or broadly speaking, the specialized deposit-taking institutions, will also be more or less reformed in the coming months. So yes, financial cost of it, but you saw the employment effects, you saw the psychological effects on people. There's a monetary part of it, very big figure. But on the other side, what we can't really quantify in numbers, the impact of it on people's minds. People up to now are still afraid of financial institutions. They say confidence is picking up. Yesterday, the finance minister said cost of borrowing is going down. Is it really? And is confidence really picking up? Is it really? These are the questions and answers we need, or these are the questions we need answers to, if I can put it that way. So yesterday, yes, he has satisfied his legal requirements. All is well and good. But like I said to one of my colleagues yesterday, when you go for your report card when you are in primary school, and they write at the bottom there's more room for improvement. I think there's more room for improvement when it comes to the national finances and the nation as a whole.
Philip just gave us a snapshot, very well done, of what we saw yesterday. He began from, of course, it's been a legal requirement, then the large macroeconomic figures when you talk about GDP growth, when you talk about inflation. Then he went into the taxes, then some of the key issues that were raised, like the financial sector. One of the main sectors that the finance minister spent time on, apart from the financial sector, was the energy sector, which is sort of dominating conversation this morning. And we'll be getting Ben Boakye's thoughts on that. However, let's hear some of the taxes that have made us happy this morning, as Philip was mentioning. This is what the finance minister had to say about the luxury vehicle tax.
Mr. Speaker, review of luxury vehicles levy. Government in 2018 introduced the luxury vehicles levy to raise revenue. We have noted suggestions from the general public on the implementation of this tax, and Mr. Speaker, as a listening government, we are proposing to the House the withdrawal of the luxury tax levy.
So that's the luxury vehicle tax levy's withdrawal. Let's now hear the introduction of a different tax, the communication service tax.
Communication service tax. The communication service tax was introduced in 2008 at an ad valorem rate of 6%. The tax is levied on charges payable by consumers for the use of communication services. Government proposes to increase the tax. Government proposes to increase the tax to 9% to develop the foundation for the creation of a viable technology ecosystem in the country from 6%.
And that's Ken Ofori-Atta speaking about the increase of the communication service tax, which was introduced sometime in the Kufuor era. Now to the issue that Ben Boakye will be addressing for us, the energy sector levies. He spent quite a bit of time on this area. Listen.
Energy sector levies. The Energy Sector Levies Act 2015, Act 899, is restructured, rationalized, and consolidated all the revenue legislation relating to the energy sector into one law. The object was to dedicate the levies to the energy sector and to promote prudent and efficient utilization of the revenue, as well as facilitate sustainable long-term investments in the energy sector to enhance availability, regularity, and reliability of supply. The dedication of these consolidated levies was to improve the poor balance sheets of the power sector utilities and relieve government of the pressures of the sector in terms of reduced reliance on Ministry of Finance occasional direct funding. The sector, however, continues to be exposed due to recurring debts and the inherited take-or-pay contracts. At the inception of the Act, it was estimated that approximately 24% of the ex-pump price of fuel will adequately cover the required financing. This percentage has dwindled over the years and is currently about 17% due to inflation and currency depreciation. With this mid-year review, Mr. Speaker, government is proposing an upward adjustment in the road fund levy, the energy debt recovery levy, and the price stabilization and recovery levy to bring the ratios close to 21% to help reach the financing requirements.
So that does it for the energy sector levies. Before we go to Mr. Boakye, Professor Godfred Alufaa-Bokpin is on the line with us to give us his general thoughts on the media budget review. Good morning, Prof. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, good morning, my boss, and good morning to our cherished listeners.
Is this what you expected?
Not surprising. Not surprising because we have been following the development for some time now. The energy sector, I'm not surprised. I'm happy to the extent that the ministry is giving it the necessary attention. I'm also not surprised when it comes to the revenue envelope because given all that these parties said when they were in opposition, they have not been able to deliver when it comes to the various tax measures that they have prescribed and implemented so far. The revenue envelope remains dwarfed. If we don't do something significant about scaling up the revenue envelope, then Ghana Beyond Aid will just be beyond all of us. Because when you look at where our debt levels are now, end of June, we are talking about over 200 billion cedis. And if you look at how much we are setting aside just to service our debt, which is crowding our priority spending, the only viable option for us to do something about the structural rigidities in our economy lies with domestic revenue mobilization. Because the external capital market, debt market, is not going to be favorable to us, given the fundamentals of our economy and the tightening global financial conditions. So if we are not doing what we are expected to do in mobilizing the much-needed domestic revenue, then I am afraid it's just going to be business as usual. We are going to borrow, and we are going to borrow, and the next generation will just remember us for the debt we have left behind and not the quality infrastructure they will be hoping to come and see. The reason I'm saying this is that when you look at, say, from 2014, the rate at which, even in nominal terms, that our debt levels are going up, it doesn't look to me that this government has found a solution to that necessarily. I can understand that some things are inherited, but it doesn't seem to me that we have got the necessary policy measures to address the revenue challenges, and I'm afraid we are not heading well. Why am I saying this? So in the last 3 years, if you look at how much we are allocating to capital spending, which is very critical for easing the restrictions on the growth drivers of the economy, is very, very poor. The way we have done it is not so different from what the NDC did, because we have sought to contain the revenue shortfalls by cutting expenditure. Studies have shown, even by the IMF in 2017 or so, that expenditure cuts beyond a certain level is harmful to economic growth. And I'm afraid this is where we find ourselves now. Why am I saying this? We have seen growth has picked up, aided largely by hydrocarbon production, both in volume and then price. World price has favored us to some extent. That growth is not inclusive. That growth is not sustainable. It is the growth that would not enable us also to expand our revenue envelope, because until growth is driven significantly by the non-oil real sector, Ghanaians will not get their fair share from that growth. You can see that in the financial arrangements in the oil and gas sector, which tends to favor investors rather than the economy. So in the last couple of years, when you look at the revenue, tax revenue that we get from the oil and gas sector, it's very, very small. We cannot even say the oil is ours. It is rather for others. So look at it from 2014, 2015, 2016, 17, 18, and then the first quarter of 2019, you can see that the non-oil gas sector hasn't really responded, let's put it this way, to the overall economic strategy of the government, of the various governments. And it's largely because we are underspending significantly when it comes to capital expenditure, infrastructure spending, which is critical to oil the growth drivers in those subsectors. And this is not good. We have to do something about that. I'm also curious. The same country whose revenue envelope remains dwarfed, we are told in the media review that the targets set for personal income tax and corporate income tax were exceeded. And I'm wondering, what kind of targets were this? With the fact that we have significant room to scale up and we are exceeding our targets, what is the motivation going forward? We have to take another look at those targets. We are told over 6 million people are in tax-paying position. Just a little above 1.5 million people are paying their taxes. But we have exceeded those targets. Of course, those performance, when compared to other tax channels, is dropped largely because the shortfalls from when it comes to VAT, when it comes to other areas, are very significant. And I will tell you why. We have embraced VAT, but if you look at the exemptions surrounding VAT and how we have broadened it, at the end of the day, we end up losing so much. Look, our VAT efficiency is one of the lowest in sub-Saharan Africa. Our personal income tax productivity is below 10%. Corporate income tax productivity is low, even compared to our peers, let alone our tax frontier. So the way I'm looking at it is that all is not lost because our tax potential is very high. So what is holding us back? But of course, I can give you a little bit of a clue. You can talk about corruption in our revenue administration, the elite who have found themselves on boards, for which reason exemptions are very difficult to rationalize because it comes back to them. And this is how they finance their political activities. Why am I saying so? We have a democracy that is highly commercialized and monetized. It is up for grab. Very soon, our morals will be lost to the highest bidder. The way we are operationalizing our democracy is such that the dividend from democracy will never be evenly distributed.
So, Prof, you mentioned earlier that no solution has been found on how to raise money to fund our development. We've been asking since yesterday, if we don't tax, what do we do?
You know what? Beyond what GRA is doing, I want to submit to every Ghanaian that we have to embrace voluntary tax compliance to save our country, not only for ourselves, but for our children and our grandchildren. We have to do that. I think we need to also support government. We need to ask everybody now, have you filed your tax return? Have you paid your taxes? Before you contest as an MP, it should be one of the requirements. To register your car, you have to show the evidence. To renew your roadworthiness, you have to show your evidence. Let's begin to ask one another. You are asking for better roads. Let's put the question back to them. Have you paid your fair share of tax to the state? Because one basic function of the state is to collect taxes. Any country that is ineffective, inefficient in collecting taxes, and yet wants to grow, even with the level of inefficiency and corruption we have in our part of the world, then you will just end up in the debt trap.
So it comes back to the same point of taking taxes.
Yes, we have to. Look, you can talk about free senior high school. You can talk about all the free things. Ultimately, it is not free. We are giving up something in order to have this. It has to be paid for ultimately. We are sacrificing other critical areas of the economy in order to fund free senior high school. Let's not maybe put too much premium on that. There's nothing wrong with that from where I sit. The point I made the last time was that all those free things are taking up physical space available for other critical investment. That was the point I was making. But put all these things within a broader context of the leakages and the waste when it comes to monies we are paying for not receiving, for not enjoying those services. Then I'll come down to the energy sector. A country that has binding physical constraints, let me put it that way, can afford to make such colossal payments for installed capacity it has no need of. We have to say sorry to ourselves. What prevented us from doing an optimal solution and looking at our peak period with a certain margin and say this is what we need to do, and then we do those investments? Do you know why? With that level of inefficiency in the energy sector, there is no way we can do effective utility pricing. We will just have to burden the consumer unnecessarily.
Okay.
Because effective pricing can only be done with a certain level of efficiency. It's not only this wastage, you are looking at generation losses, transmission losses, and distribution losses, which are far above the thresholds. How effective can you do your pricing and enable people to pay? And if you look, recently we did some work that showed that the inequality in Ghana is also fueled by utility pricing that does not take into consideration these dynamics. And then you increase, we adjust the energy, the XLA, right?
We've adjusted it upwards.
When you look at the Ghana Living Standard Survey, the distribution and all of that, you realize that transportation takes a bigger portion of disposable income of the average Ghanaian. Certainly, it will have implication for transportation costs. It will have implication for price development in Ghana. But you see, whilst I say all these things, the question I'm also asking myself is, if we don't do this, what are the other options for us? Because because something has to be done about scaling up the revenue envelope. That is one side.
I had a question on that, Prof, about scaling out the revenue envelope. And you were talking about how persons should personally pay their taxes. Now, a bit of a gloomy picture is painted. We've been asking this question again since yesterday. What's the motivation? If, number one, you yourself mentioned the level of corruption that we have and the level of wastage that we have. It doesn't encourage tax compliance. And there's also the simple inconvenience that is associated with paying taxes in the country.
I agree with you. We have to simplify tax administration. It should be possible for people to pay their taxes with their mobile phone or mobile money or something. I think we have to simplify those things. We have to make tax payments a little bit user friendly and enjoyable. Because the fact of the matter is that nobody enjoys paying taxes. And the reason I say so is because during the 3.5-year earthly ministry of Jesus Christ, one of the important questions he had to answer was whether it was lawful to pay taxes. Even then, more than 2,000 years ago, it wasn't user-friendly, and we have not changed. We are all descendants of Adam. So there has to be some kind of incentives. One key incentive also would be how the taxes are utilized. It's very important. So whilst we talk about maybe less encouraging, government must also demonstrate that taxes are being utilized efficiently in the most important areas. Let me put it that way. Other than that, apathy will set in, and that will not be good for all of us.
Right. Prof. Godfred Alufa Bokpin, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
God bless you.
God bless you too, Professor Godfred Alufa Bokpin there on the line with his detailed analysis of the economy and the budget, media budget review that was read. So the summary of the conversation that we had with Prof. Bokpin was that, look, we need money to run this country. We need a way to raise the money to run this country. So we need to be creative about how to raise the taxes, how to raise the revenue, and also we as citizens need to be more responsible and pay our taxes. You are asking me, Daniel, please ask Prof, what happened to the taxes that we paid earlier? We will not pay and not pay until we see our leaders use what they have very well and punish individuals who misuse what they have. It's a similar kind of question that was asked of Patrick Ewa yesterday during the Super Morning Show. But we've been joined in studio by Ken Ashigbe as well. Good morning.
Good morning, Daniel.
Hope all is well, Mr. Ashigbe.
Well, blessed.
Beautiful. I'll begin, however, with Mr. Ben Boache of ASEP. So we are going heavy on the energy sector. In the first place, has the problem been captured well? Is it as simple as we have too much generation capacity and we can't use it?
Yeah, thank you. I think we got a sense of what the danger looks like as far as the power sector is concerned. Maybe a bit more detail related to, which plants are actually the excess, how much demand. We're told how much demand there is, and but the specifics about which of the plants are government renegotiating, which of the plants are going to be switched from take or pay to take and pay. And those kind of detailed communication was quite relevant because when you say that you're going to convert all plants from take or pay to take and pay, it sent a certain signal. We don't see that achievable, but maybe the ministry knows what it is doing. Some detail would have been relevant to assure investors that we are not going to have some drastic unlawful measures, to actually change the status quo. But the reality is that the energy sector today represents perhaps the most difficult situation for the budget of Ghana. In recent conversations, you hear things like AFCON's $4 million. You hear Parliament's $200 million proposed chamber. And you sit knowing what you know in the energy sector, and you ask yourself, that is a 2 months bill for the energy sector for $200 million. And not just a bill because we want it, it's an unwanted bill, really. AFCON, that is 10 AFCONs in a month in the power sector. You understand? So that is the real danger we are faced with as a country, and we need to have a bold approach to really deal with the situation. And for us, it's not surprising. It's not been an event. We've seen this coming from 2015 when the contracts were being signed. And if I may even quote, some of the things that we wrote at the time. In one of the State of the Nation address, we said, it is important to highlight the looming danger in government action to contract long-term emergency power solutions, while it has signed up to the Millennium Challenge Compact, which makes government commitment after signing the compact not binding on the concessionaire. This exposes the public purse to significant risk, estimated to be in excess of $350 million in only capacity charges for the emergency power plants every year if the concessionaire does not see value in emergency plans. So these cautions were thrown out even before most of the plants were actually signed. So we saw it coming. No actions were taken, and then we kept signing until it got to about $600 million per World Bank's estimation. Then government began, sitting up to listen. So we were reckless in the way we approached the power sector contracts. We asked the questions, and you are told we are, going to be a net exporter. We want to export power to neighboring countries. But on whose risk? Are you saying that Ghana's budget should be the security for the power need of Burkina Faso or the power need of Togo or Benin? So it tells you that we were really being wishful and not really analyzing the problem to see how we think about Ghanaians first, without necessarily risking. Because if the market makes sense, the business people will take it up. So why is Ghana the one rather taking the risk?
Okay.
For other countries.
Okay.
And where we didn't really even show appreciation of the power situation in those countries, the demand scenario in those countries. We didn't have control of our own. So why were we planning for countries beyond our borders, to be able to? So that is why we are where we are today. And we have to deal with it.
We signed too many PPAs back in 2015.
Too many PPAs.
In the Jumso era.
Yes.
And it's interesting how these decisions back in 2015 are translating to something that seems as simple as buying more fuel, doesn't it? Because paying more for fuel, because in the end, that's what it means for the consumer.
So you're not paying more for fuel. So every contract you have what they call capacity charge. What that means
I'm talking about paying more for fuel in terms of when I drive to the filling station, the increase in the levies.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that is the ESLA. So we move into the ESLA. Maybe if we can deal with the capacity charge issues, then because they are linked but a bit different. We signed too many. So the capacity charges alone is what we're talking about $42 million every month for the plant. So the plant was set idle, and we pay them that much money.
Work done.
Yes. So the ESLA was actually established to pay the existing debt at the time. We recognize that we have been reckless, irresponsible for so many years, and debt had accumulated. The sector was becoming dysfunctional. So government then decided that it was going to impose a levy on petrol and then also on power for us to be able to amortize the debt. And yesterday I heard the former finance minister on your networks, on PM Express, saying that at the time, people like us, ASEP, were used to criticize the ESLA levy when it was imposed. And I was amazed because that was not a lie, to say it bluntly, because we were in the space and we cautioned government at the time that even though we find it difficult to appreciate why they were imposing the tax on the public, we still agreed that we needed to clear the debt. So what we said at the time was that we need to have a sunset clause, and it's documented. I have the statements here. We need to have a sunset clause that says that the public is going to pay the ESLA debt for 3-4 years, after which it ceases to exist, so that it doesn't become another tall debt levy that we have to pay in perpetuity. And they did not listen. We said they should pass an LI that caps, the debt. You're transparent about how much we owe and how much we have to pay, and the public can agree to say that we have this debt, we are paying for it in 4 years. End of story. We're not going to continue paying it. They didn't do that, and they left it open. Okay, and we still don't know the exact numbers. We are thrown one morning you hear $5 billion, another it is 2.5 billion. So the transparency around the debt has never been there. It's never existed, and we keep paying. And now there's been a revision of the levy, about 71% or so of the levy for us to pay. It is important for the public to know how much we are paying for and for how long we are going to pay. And that position hasn't really changed as far as we are concerned. If it's a debt that has to be paid, it's a public debt. It will still be there. How do we pay it and how long we have to pay it?
But if you don't know how much you're going to get from a tax, can you insert a sunset clause?
You should know. I mean, if you are imposing 28 pesos on a liter, this is products that are inelastic, people buy all the time. So you can calculate. And at the time, we calculated that government was going to get about 2.7, 1 billion at least from the levies in 2015. They exceeded that. We even moved to close to 4 billion subsequent years. So we know how much we are collecting from the levies. So that should be able to guide us on how we seek to amortize the debt. If we actually know how much debt exists in the sector, you should be able to know how much the public is going to pay for.
So that's the situation as it was. Let's bring it down now to what it means for us when we drive to the pump. So that's what has caused us to come to a point where we have to pay some more money when we drive to the fuel station.
Yes. So we are told that they need to raise another bond to be able to clear the outstanding amount that has to be paid. So it has been adjusted by another 20 pesos. What that means is that for every liter of petrol or diesel you buy, you're going to have to pay 20 pesos more for it. So depending on how many liters of tank capacity you have, you multiply that by 20 pesos, and you see how much the adjustment will mean for you.
So in simple terms, if I take 20 pesos per the number of liters that I buy, then that should tell me how much extra that I'm paying.
If so, you need your capacity in CD. You need your capacity of your tank. For example, I have 93 liter tank. So if I multiply 93 by 0.2, close to 20 cedis for every fill. So that is what you have to do essentially.
Okay. Ben Boakye is the executive director for Africa Center for Energy Policy. Ken Ashigbe is also here. With the communication service tax, Mr. Ashigbe, we understand it's not as simple as just slapping the figure on what we buy already when we are buying credit. Is it? How does it affect how much we pay for credit?
Well, what's basically going to happen is the fact that prior to all of this, you are paying 6% CST on before you would then slap the 5% levies, the two levies that were decoupled. Then you put all of that together and then you apply VAT on it, because VAT is a final tax, to be able to work out the total of what you pay. So what basically is going to happen is that the tax that you pay, because CST is a consumer levy, so it's on the end user. So it's the tax that you pay that is going to change. But the interesting thing is that there are two things. When it comes to telecommunication, as an industry, we don't cartel. So there's a lot of competition. So the members price, with their own, the way they do based on the way you spend and all of that. So you really cannot tell. I can't sit here and tell you, like the way you're talking about ESLA and be able to say 20 pesos, that you would not be able to compute. But what it would just mean is that if your spending pattern remain the same, the CST portions that you paid would go up by 3%, and unfortunately there's a tax on the tax, because the VAT is on that tax as well. So that would also then go and compound that. But that's basically what it is.
Will it affect mobile money transactions?
Well, the way the pricing goes, I'm not too sure. Mobile money is not electronic communication, so there's no CST on mobile money. So that's definitely a different. What it would affect is your SMS or your voice calls and your data.
Okay, so all of those would get a tad bit more expensive.
Well, basically, there will be a tax that will be placed on it. So yes, definitely, that's what it's going to be.
Okay, we need to go into the whys, why it's necessary, and what industry's reaction is to this. And since it's competitive, would it be possible even for some of the telcos to say, I am carrying the cost and I'm not pushing the change to the consumer? We'll get some of those answers when we come back. It's the Super Morning Show, 17 minutes past 5.
Welcome to 21st Century Service Provision. Need to pay your ward school fees?
Thanks, Daddy.
Want to flex that girl?
Wow, he's so cool.
Grandma needs airtime to fill me in on all the village filler.
Hey, me be a guy.
Or you're just tired of having to hop from app to shortcodes to website and back. Welcome to the new phase of buying, selling, and connecting with customers. Welcome to convenience and technology. Welcome to My GH Pay, myghpay.com. Make or receive payments online from anywhere using a Visa card, MasterCard, GH Link card, or your mobile money wallet. Businesses, associations, institutions can get listed for free today and enjoy a new world of convenience. Download My GH Pay for free from Play Store and App Store. myghpay.com. Buy, sell, and connect. The platform for everyone.
I believe that I can be all of the best to whatever I do. Guaranteed to take the lead.
On Vodafone Cash, it is impossible for anybody to defraud you, as all transactions are initiated and authorized by you. If you know, you know. The future is exciting. Ready? durability, finishing, quality. Choosing sofas and beds for your home, office, or hotel couldn't be easier with an exclusive range of sofas and beds in various designs and colors from Latex Foam. There is so much choice, whatever your budget. Latex Foam, your partner for life.
So you wanted that weave, that one that's so long it touches your toes. Got it. A disco light for the room when the sweetheart comes over. Swoon your matron. Bagged it. Those chrome spinning wheels that will have people at church praying to be you. But though, now how about those mega woofers that will wake up the whole neighborhood? Ordered. Because you've got the card that makes it all possible.
You don't need a bank account to spoil yourself. You can now securely load funds for travel, pay for goods and services online and at your favorite shop, or give your loved ones unending spending options or possibilities with a perfect gift card. Get a Cowbank prepaid card now, because you can.
Cowbank, forward together.
Hip, 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 hooray! Melcom Big 30 Anniversary Sale. The Melcom Big 30 Sale is on and juicy.
Oh, say yeah.
Walk into any Melcom shop and you will get up to 30% discount on thousands of items.
Lalo!
Hear them once say for 30 years of support. But remember, terms and conditions apply. Melcom, where Ghana shops.
Coffee in your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
What else? You know what time it is. Oh, baby, Paul Betty. Yeah, Papa, me yada. Princess, ni fearful, you know what paga. Near me, feel it cross in the yard, was shada. Nensa, for family, chin, who I'm a taba. Body, they sure they got it for days. So don't call me preco, cause the way you be winding your ways. Forgetting the band dressing, actually get it with taste. Until my casa actually one team case, cause Obi you get money they talk. If you don't get money, hide your face. You don't go shake Venchi. Red bottoms, Louis Vuitton. Physical cash, no checks. Oh, who the long, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Baby, let me open your cherry, let me bold blues. And I pull up your Chevy, Winnie will cruise. One mess in the younger poppy will bloom. It's on the house now.
If I tell you that I'm blessed.
21 minutes past 8, this is.
She did beat me for my chest. Damn, I'm lucky. If I tell you that I'm blessed, you go see, so I don't get stressed. She did beat me for my chest. Damn, I'm lucky.
This is the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. We are trying to understand why we have to pay more when we go and buy fuel. And we have to pay more on our phone calls, among other issues. With us in studio is Executive Director for Africa Center for Energy Policy, ASEP, Ben Boakye. Ken Ashigbe is also here, CEO for Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, and Philip Namfuri of Joy Business. But if you receive remittances from abroad, we have exciting news for you. Guarantee Trust Bank Ghana Limited, GT Bank, and Ria Money Transfer Services have partnered with ZPay to launch the Ria to Mobile service, an innovative service that allows senders globally to remit funds directly into the mobile money wallets of beneficiaries in Ghana across mobile money operators. With Ria to Mobile, the days of visiting the branch to redeem your remittances are over. Just provide your mobile money number to your family, friends, and business partners abroad, and within a few minutes, your Ria remittance is credited directly into your wallet anytime, anywhere. Spread the word. Ria to Mobile is here. For further inquiries, please call our 24-hour hotline 0302 611560 or toll free 0800 124000. Guarantee Trust Bank. Would you rather bank with us? The Vodafone Bosu offer just got bigger. Aside the Bosu weekend offer, Vodafone has taken another boss step, introducing the Bosu Daily Offer. The Bosu of all the daily offers. Sign up to the Vodafone Bosu Daily Offer for 2 Ghana cedis and enjoy 100 minutes for calls to all networks, plus 100 megabytes valid for 24 hours. Yes, it's real, pa. Just dial *5588# now to subscribe to the Bosso Daily offer and spend your day like a boss. Your social media messages on the Super Morning Show are brought to you by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. So keep the tweets coming in, #JoySMS. Today's agenda is brought to you by Societe Generale.
If I tell you that I'm blessed, you go see, so I don't get stressed. She did beat me for my chest. Damn, I'm lucky. If I tell you that I'm blessed, you go see, so I don't get stressed. She did beat me for my chest. Damn, I'm lucky. I'm lucky. Mommy, come jogodo. I'm lucky. Daddy, come jogodo. I'm lucky. Tonight we go jogodo. Damn, I'm lucky. I'm lucky. Mommy, come jogodo. I'm lucky. Daddy, come jogodo. I'm lucky. Tonight we go jogodo. Damn, I'm lucky.
Don't forget, we are giving you 20 days of surprises on your favorite Super Morning Show. For the 29th day of July, that is yesterday to Friday the 23rd of August, join the conversation every morning from Monday to Friday. Tweet at us with the #JoySMS, #JoySMS, and be that lucky person to win instant prizes from airtime souvenirs from our Twitter handle @Joy997FM. Terms and conditions apply.
Tonight we go jogodo. Damn, I'm lucky. I'm lucky. Mommy, come jogodo. I'm lucky. Daddy, come jogodo. I'm lucky. Tonight.
So I'm coming back before I have Mr. Kenashibe answer some more of the questions that we have for him. There's a need for some clarification on the attribution you made, Mr. Washi, when you were saying that someone said ASEP was used as a stooge by government.
No, yeah, sorry, I was referring to the former deputy finance minister, Mr. Kassel Atuforsen, who was on PM Express. You know, he made categorical statement. I don't know why Mr. Tepe's head came to my head, but I mean, that is a fact that is known. So, apologies to Mr. Tepe. I think it was just a slip. I was referring to Atuforsen. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Great. So we can move on now. Mr. Ashibe, what does the need to tax telcos more? What does it say about the telco sector? Is it that we are not getting enough taxes from there?
Well, you see, the interesting thing is that if you take the telecommunications sector, it pays about 40%, of what the turnover it gets to government in forms of taxes, levies, regulate. So the sector already is definitely heavily taxed. But you would agree that it's also a very significant sector. So you'd want to find ways of generating revenue from it. But I would have gone with the MPP's philosophy of looking more at production than the direct taxation, because already 40% is on the high side. And now you find out that telecommunication also is the bedrock for a lot of businesses to, generate business, and government itself has this digital agenda that it's pursuing, and to be able to do that, the lifeblood is going to be telecommunication services. So you would want to get a system where you rather are using it to span a lot more production, so that a lot more people, you can formalize a lot of your businesses. I think, when Prof was talking about the fact that we're not paying enough taxes, that's a fact. Because a lot of the people in Ghana are not paying a lot of the taxes. And one of the ways to be able to do that is definitely the digital route. So when, the government and the vice president talks about the fact that they want to push for all people to government, payments to be made digitally, those are the ways to go. But in West Africa, it's been research has shown that the two barriers for inclusion has been the cost of ownership of telecommunication services. So from, owning a device all the way to how much data you spend. And then the second element is investment. So definitely when the tax is direct, on what you do, but not on what you're able to use the thing to do to the revenue you generate, it then blocks to be able to get other people who you want to be included to come in. And then the other element is the fact that if you talk about coverage is a product of investment. So it means you need to have enough revenue coming in to be able to get some of the profit and plow back. You want to also make sure that the margins are interesting enough for investors to be able to come in. So too much taxation also tends to negatively impact on that. That's why for us as an industry, we are still calling and we'll be getting back to government to be able to see how we can engage so that yes, government needs to generate a lot more revenue. How can we do it? What other ways can we do it rather than, a CST, which the incidence is the same on me as is on my grandmother in Chame, where, definitely for her, looming some cotton to be able, some yarn for Kente, she has to buy credit for all the things she does. What revenues is she generating compared to what I'm generating? But the incidence will be the same. The same 3% extra CST would be impacted on him. And so we would hope that, like we have done in the past, because this is the first time since I joined the chamber that we've had any major tax conversation where we've not had a tax dialogue. We've not had these conversations. So we'll be going back to government again, to ask that, can we relook at this? Can we do it in a way, such that it would, in terms of the marginal return, because we should bear in mind that the elasticity of demand for telecommunication services is not inelastic, so the marginal return could either be zero, positive, or negative. And, so coming back from last year's situation where there had to be a decoupling of the taxes, that increased the incidence on the customer, and people are already complaining about the high cost. What can we do to make sure that the service is available and people are able to use it to generate a lot more revenue? Because if the marginal return is negative, then even this tax itself might rather yield to lower taxes. And that's direct on CST. And then the people who also use it to do businesses, if they use a lot less and then they are also not able to generate a lot more revenue, then the intention of being able to tax really might not be there. And bear in mind, if you take 2017, CST was around 315 million. 2018, it came to about 420 million. Definitely the quarter four rejigging of the taxes has happened. A lot more people are beginning to use it. I'm sure this year, half year, would still be contributing a lot more in terms of CST already. It's generating it. So let's try and keep that growth happening organically and getting a lot more people, a lot more things, Internet of Things are coming, definitely we mean a lot more connectivity is required. You found out that sometime last year, government working with the private sector was able to expand connectivity to all these rural areas and all of that. But when you make the cost of them being able to acquire and use the service high, what would happen is that, you then definitely would then not get what you want to achieve. And I believe very strongly that there are other ways in which the sector would be able to generate a lot more revenue. It would lead to a lot more efficiency, cut out a lot of the waste. There's an engagement even currently with EMT to look at how to use digital means to ensure that subsidies that are paid on fertilizer, currently a lot of which that are wasted, pre-mixed fuel that are done, if we can use digital means to be able to do that, you will cut a lot of the waste that are in the system. And I think those are means that if we engage a lot more with government, we should be able to achieve the same intent of being able to generate a lot more revenue from government without risking a marginal decline.
And EMT is economic management team.
Yes, forgive me.
Okay. When is this dialogue with government scheduled to begin?
Well, I got surprised yesterday when this happened. So immediately we, we're reaching out to government to try and see if we can, be able to engage government, and that's something that is going to take a lot of our attention.
You mentioned a point about the sector not being inelastic. Are you suggesting that people will stop buying credits because it's getting too expensive?
Then I'm not too sure whether you read economics without tears. You know what I mean? Definitely for any product that is, and there's no perfectly inelastic products in this country. So there's a threshold where when prices get to, people will begin to start looking at it. It is the share of pockets. When we're talking about telecommunication, we're looking at the pesos. It's not we're not talking about people like you. We're talking about people who have to struggle whether I buy Wache or I put credit on my phone. Especially for those who are using it for productive activity. So definitely there is some elasticity of demand when it comes to the product, telecommunication services, and people would have to make those decisions. And in doing all of that, you need to be sensitive about that. You need to do a lot more of the modeling. Would it have been better if we had gone gradually in terms of the increasing of the CST so that people don't feel the impact? So all of these are conversations that I'm sure if we sit at the table, with government, and with the players, knowing what we know, and thank God now for, technology, big data, and you'll be able to simulate various things. And, with the team also in the Ministry of Communication, Ministry of Finance are knowledgeable. They know these things.
Right.
We all should be able to come up with solutions that help all of us in the long run.
Solutions like what?
Solutions like, do we look at other things rather than CS? Do like this whole issue of pushing a lot more of the P to G payment, people to government payment using digital means, so that when you get to the toll booth, people who are dropping their pay by cash and people pick the ticket and resell to you would not happen. You know that when the tourism sector was digitized, revenues grew by fourfold. So those fourfold growth, if we even take it to the MMDAs, there can be a lot of growth in those spaces. And we could and you were also talking about how to make the payment of tax simple. We know that currently GRA is going on that route so that you can pay your taxes, file your taxes, on an app and all of those. Can we rather proceed on that? And you see, government already is moving in that direction. But one of the barriers to make that happen or not happen is the cost of being able to acquire the service and use the service. And definitely we believe that CST hacking up by, the 3% might lead to that. And can we engage to find alternatives to be able to raise, more revenue for government rather than this route?
So, Philip, I'm hearing someone from an energy sector and someone from the communication sector say the same thing, that basically we need more money. But then Mr. Ashigbe raises a solution that, look, we could be looking at ways of collecting the money and making it more efficient.
Okay, Daniel, I'll start from what my good lecturer said, Prof. Bokpin, and how we are constrained with our expenditure. And he made a very good point about the expenditure cuts we are doing. When you see government has been able to contain expenditure, if you look at the numbers from the Ministry of Finance, Q1, but Prof makes a good point that it may not necessarily be a containment. You may be cutting somewhere where it may be necessary for you to rather put in more money. And with the capital expenditure, like I always say, CAPEX, or the tangibles, the physical infrastructure we want to see, that's what moves most of the people in this part of the world. They don't care about your fancy numbers and your ESLA bonds, and they want to see something being done. So when you come and you speak good English and all the rigmarole and all the jargons, they don't care. They want to see something.
But is it as simple as seeing? Because then again, if you construct a road that carries yam from my village here, it means that you are increasing productivity. It means that you are decreasing inflation.
True, that's right. But again, like I said earlier on, what is going on right now is an expansionary fiscal measure. Mm-hmm. And if it's not monitored closely, there are effects on inflation, which come back to bite us in terms of the prices going up, all things being equal.
Okay.
But at the same time, if you look at what Prof said, you realize that with regards to the innovation that we were looking forward to, because we were told that we are going to shift from taxation to production, and to my mind, taxation to production means less of taxes, more of productivity, and how to stimulate growth in the economy. So you do things to prop up our growth without necessarily burdening us. And that's why you're in leadership. That's why you're a manager of the economy. Because it is deemed that you have the right mind to see where we don't see. Yesterday, I was speaking to a couple of young people, students and young workers. And one of the ladies says, perhaps the finance minister has had a vision and we cannot see what he's seeing. And this is why he's introducing these number of taxes and wants to spend more. Perhaps maybe she's right, maybe she's wrong. Maybe there is something that we can't see that he's seeing.
What are we supposed to see?
That we can't see and then he's seeing. So we need the money, all right, but we need innovative ways of raising the money without burdening us. Listen to something Professor Peter Korte of ISA told me last week. And he says he wants to see the National Identification System being linked with the GRA systems, etc. Now we know where these informal people are. Let us start looking for them. Let us start finding out what they are doing. If we can tax their income, let us tax their income. Because we are the same ones here who are going to be paying the most. You take your salary, then you pay something on it. You go here, you pay something on it. The informal sector also has to start doing something, because we all can't be doing, the same people can't be doing the same thing over and over again. And he says one important thing also about government's expenditure. He says, look at the NAPCO, 100,000 times 700 Ghana cedis. He said, why didn't we start with 50,000 people? Gradually build it there, see the impact on the expenditure, then little by little we take it up. Because, Daniel, if you look at it right now, the expenditure issue, wages and compensation, interest payments, grants to other government units, then the money is finished. That's all. And it's been said over and over again. There's a part of the 2017 budget where they've chronicled from 2010 till that 2017. The same different finance ministers come to say the same thing, that we need room, we need room, we need room. That was why they passed the earmarked funds, and earmarked funds capping and realignment bill has been able to free up room. If it was able to free up some space for government to spend somewhere else, then we shouldn't be seeing these new taxes. Has it? Look at our debt issues. 200 billion as of June 2019. And if we don't raise enough here, we will have to go and do the deficit financing, which implies the borrowing. And the cycle will continue. So you can't raise more. You bring in taxes, it's burdened, you withdraw, you adjust, you change, then we continue going on and on. We'll be dead and gone, and this cycle will continue. In 2050, whatever, it will continue. And you realize that nothing will change. So,
that's the most frustrating part of the conversation, and nothing really is changing, is it?
Because, see, I always say information asymmetry. Perhaps there's something going on within the Ministry of Finance that we don't have access to. We can't see. But when you give us your financials, your Q1, your mid-year review, and we read it, Daniel, all things being equal, nothing is really changing. It's the same story over and over again. New taxes will come. Let us see whether it can give us the room, whether it can raise the funds, and we'll go on and on and on.
My final point for you. It's sad to raise 85 billion in... okay, so this is not... Okay, in revenue and through borrowing. So he puts it together. 85 billion in revenue and through borrowing. And yet there's no return of investment for the country. All the funds go into expenditure and consumption. We are looking at innovative infrastructure financing like Sino Hydro. Is it fair to make a statement like this?
Okay, so yes, if you look at it, most of our expenditure is recurrent or consumption, and very little left for the capital expenditure that we need. And if we want to finance the capital expenditure, what do we have to do? Borrow. So you see that it's a trap. it's
cost between a rock and a hard place.
So we are trying hard to do things, but again, like I said, there's more room for improvement. I think innovative ways, and these ways are above my pay grade. So I'll not even attempt to proffer any solutions. Innovative
which
ways,
is very high.
innovative ways should be found to ensure that growth that we desire will come, but at the same time, taxing is important. Everybody has to pay taxes. No one is running away from it. But when you put some burdens on people in such an economy with other constraints coming from other places, you'll be hit with a depreciation of the CD. You'll be hit with this. You'll be hit with that. Then all of a sudden you start complaining, and things have gone on and on. So I think for me, that's all I'll say.
Good morning, Daniel. How do you expect the poor to pay more taxes for the rich to enjoy? Example, the new GRA board chairman used more than 10 air conditioners, but he thinks it's even not more. How's the poor taxpayer struggle to pay? SMH. This is coming from Stanley in Dansoman. 0244340437 is our WhatsApp and Telegram number. Oyibo from Nerebehi. I hope I said it well. Nerebehi. He says, good morning. Yesterday's mid-year budget delivery was full of hope. The scrapping of luxury vehicle tax by government was a step in the right direction. Hey, you have a big car there. This has clearly indicated that Nana Addo is a listening president. The minority should come out again and make their unnecessary noise. Nana Addo is the only president who can rescue Ghana. NDC will stay in opposition for 16 years. Hi to the CEO of Akwasabi Guest House, Dr. Yesu of Nerebehi. I haven't read a message like this in a very long time. Yesterday's mid-year budget, which was powered by the finance minister, was fantastic, exceptional and matchless as inflation drops to single digits and luxury car taxes are abolished. Clearly, the Nana Addo-led government is competent and sensitive to the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian as compared to the incompetent governance by the erstwhile Mahama government. In conclusion, let's retain Nana Bawumia come 2020. Okay. 80% of Ghanaians don't pay electricity bills. This needs to be checked by the PURC, ECG, and PDS. Richard from Tema sends this one. He also says the inefficiencies of our leaders is always coming back, asking for more from the poor taxpayer. Toll debt, ESLA, other debt have since ages not been settled to free up the taxpayer. They were employed to fix the economy by strategies, not ad hoc measures with more taxes. Let's get them to work and stop the burdening of the populace. Good morning, Daniel. This is the most insensitive budget in the history of our nation. Instead of our government widening the tax net, the few taxpayers are suffocated with this obnoxious tax. The idea of approving new tax under a certificate of urgency clearly shows an inefficient administration. Mr. President, be a servant, not an economic dictator. Wow, strong words there from Wilson in Cape Coast. Good morning, Dan. The problem with tax has got nothing to do with payment, rather how it's being spent. The last time I checked, it was spent on hashtag incidental cost. Don't know what that means. I mean, from Cove Town. I mean, if you ask me, I'm not very, very sure what incidentals mean either. Ken is shaking his head. Okay, so it's 16 minutes to the top of the hour. I love how Mr. Ashigbe ended his points by talking about how we could raise money aside from the communication service tax. When we come back, I'll ask Mr. Boache, when you look at the energy sector, how can we make money aside from ESLA, given the situation we have? Or how can we decisively deal with the issue of excess capacity that we are paying for? We'll be right back to do with that. Stay with us. This is the Super Morning Show.
Good morning, NDK. My name is Kwame. I just returned from a peacekeeping mission and I received some bonuses that I would like to invest in order to buy some land later. How much return will NDK give me?
Good morning, Kwame. My name is Roslyn. Thank you for choosing NDK. The returns depend on the amount you are investing and the duration of the investment. Currently, our rates range between 3 to 5% above 1 year Treasury bill rate. For more information, call NDK's toll-free line 0800 123 123 or visit us at ndkfinancialservices.com.
Wait there, I had the. Some go see you soon, Momo. If you say MTN, Echimachedia, at their two table. Brand new Samsung 65-inch UHD Smart TV. Now, brand new 2019 Hyundai. And I feel 3,000 Ghana there. You should say Mono. MTN Momo. Still, Misaka, the journey of 1,000 smiles. Yes, I see 10 years ago. And to celebrate this milestone, MTN give you away exciting prizes in the MTN Momo Attend promo. Yeah, you use Momo, no? You could win one of the 2019 Hyundai i10 cars. Yes, some or Samsung Smart TVs probably. And they up to 3,000 cedis e-cash every month. And a grand prize, 2019 Hyundai Santa Fe in the MTN Momo Attend promo. And to sign it on and they keep using your MTN Momo. Now when it big, if it's happening, I could see August only on Ghana's best network. Dial *120#. Now check your points. Terms and conditions apply. Just Momo it. We're there for you everywhere you go.
Greater Works 2019. Bishop Tudor Bismarck.
As an African, we've been in the fire. We've been brutalized. We've been broken. But we've been getting stronger and stronger.
Pastor Matthew Ashimolo.
I prophesy the kind of people who will come into your life will change your life. They will change your thinking. They will change your story.
Bishop Mike Okonkwo.
Your story will never end in shame. It will never end in disgrace. This is your time. This is your time. Greater Works, this is your time.
Conference host, Pastor Mensa Otabil.
We bless the land. We bless the people of the land. We bless the work of the people. We bless the leaders with wisdom. We bless nations by the hand of the Lord.
Song ministration, Nathaniel Bassett, Intokozo Mbambo, Mahalia Buchanan, Joe Metal, Koda, Lumina, and Accra Symphony Orchestra. Date, Monday 29th July to Friday 2nd August. Evening sessions, Independence Square, Accra. Morning sessions, ICGC Christ Temple, Abosilkine. Greater Works 2019. Bigger, better, and greater.
My name is Juliana Obu. My husband was a teacher in Apau Wawase in the Ayenswano district. He was killed by a bus whilst he rode his motorbike to school one morning. He left me and our 3 children so suddenly. I received an amount of 18,000 Ghana cedis from the GSSIC Life policy to help me get back on my feet and expand my trading business to take care of my children.
The GSSIC Life Insurance Policy eases the stress and burden of a teacher's family should the unforeseen happen. Call 0501 694554 or log on siclife-gh.com. SIC Life, absolute peace of mind.
SIC Life.
No one likes the siren of the ambulance, but once in a while, there is a moment in our lives where we need help and pray silently for an angel. That is why the Call Angels came into being to provide 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, round-the-clock ambulance cover for medical emergencies, domestic accidents, road traffic accidents, non-emergency transfers, and any medical condition where professional hand is needed to get a patient to the hospital. Download the Call Angels app for free from Google or Apple Store. You can also register for our value-added services by calling 18026 or star 3330 or 0302-909746. For as little as 100 Ghana cedi, you can guarantee you and your family for up to 5 persons priority response in addition to a 30% discount on fares for your transport request. Sign up and get that peace of mind for you and your family. Call the Angels in that critical moment and we will be there. Kindly note that this service is currently available in the Greater Accra region only.
From importers to exporters, direct to indirect workers, you and I, the MPS Terminal 3 is great news to us all.
As a trader, doing business at the port has become easy. The machines are very modern and clearing goods has become very fast.
As a port worker, it is a great joy to be part of over 1,000 Ghanaians working here. This new facility means a lot to us.
As a cocoa farmer, I have more markets to export my products. The entire world can now taste my cocoa, bringing me and my family more income.
The MPS Terminal 3 is a game changer. MPS has invested in world-class equipment and technology to optimize efficiency of doing business at Tema Port. This means more jobs, development, and opportunities for our present and our future in Ghana. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Coffee in your cup and joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
9 minutes to the top of the hour here on your Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. Remember, the hashtag is still JoySMS. So we began by trying to understand what it means for us. The fact that communication service tax has increased from 6 to 9%. In simple terms, you'll be paying more for phone calls, text messages, and data. It is not likely to affect mobile money charges. Ken Ashigbe told us that he is CEO for Telecommunications Chamber. So So it's not going to affect mobile money charges at all. Ben Boache from ASEP is with us. You're going to have to pay 90 pesos extra on every gallon of fuel you buy. Yeah. So just calculate the number of liters that you use in your engine, in your tank. And you can do the multipliers and then you're good to go. I have so many interesting comments from you here on Twitter. Your name is Alternative Being Existing at Kayohefai. What's your name? Even if we export more and import less, as much as some taxes will go down, other taxes will also have to be increased or implemented. Ghana is not comfortable enough to be considering tax cuts and whatnot. We make our own traffic lights on campus. #JoySMS. At Enyeminko Ray says, obviously this mid-year budget review is robbing Peter to pay Paul. You withdraw luxury vehicle tax and increase both fuel and communications tax. This is totally unfair and unfriendly. #JoySMS. At least if the government could be more transparent with how our taxes are used, I believe people will be happy paying their taxes. At Damtao, at I am Bon Damtao. Kafu Gigi. Ms. Oluwa Bukola says, has government cut those unnecessary expenditure? Prof, please, it's not only taxes that build countries. It's a lazy approach. I've never run a country before, but I believe government should enter into profitable ventures. They are sucking our blood through taxes. #JoySMS. Young Bieber says, you people will cry economy, but will run away at the first sight of tax policies. How you won't make them fix the economy? I'm not understanding. Okay, Ms. Oluwabukola comes back here. As it is now, government can't reduce its expenditure but keeps burdening us. You could do a lot more with 400 cedis then, but now everything is something else. Looks like someone doesn't care anymore. #JoySMS. I understand our situation as a country is not the best, but maintaining or slashing down taxes is not really an option. Every sector wants to develop. They need the resources. The tax implementation is not unfair. It's the mismanagement of our resources that is unfair. Interesting thoughts coming in there. You can tweet at us as Joy997FM. Use the #JoySMS, or you can tweet at me at I am Daniel Daze. The hashtag is still JoySMS. So before we went for those important messages, we said that we'll come back to you, Mr. Boache, and ask, do we have alternative solutions for raising money in the energy sector?
Yes, I think for the energy sector, it is difficult at this point to really push for raising more money because the tariff has already gone up. So to raise more money, then it means you have to get the public to pay more.
Okay.
But what is crucial at this point is for us to have a strategy that actually freezes the debt accumulation, stop us from accumulating more debt.
Okay.
If you are paying $100 million a month for energy sector challenges, that is not sustainable. So how do you deal with that to ensure that you can halt, the growth of the debt in the energy sector, and then the SLR then becomes relevant in dealing with the outstanding debt? It's what we really have to do. So tough decisions have to be taken. Which power plants we have to cancel immediately to see if you have to pay a consequence of $100 million. It's better than paying $1 billion in 5-6 years, down the line. So those are the decisions that are required. But most importantly, also, poor decisions have to cease. Because we are still taking decisions that are creating more debt. For example, the minister talks about excess gas supply. What we know that our own gas, we are not able to consume our own gas, and yet plans are at fault to import gas through LNG, which is estimated to cost over $800 million every year if it becomes excess supply. So how do we stop some of these decisions from maturing? It's the key problem we have right now. Ensure that there's transparency in procurement of fuel. In the power sector, fuel is quite significant. If you have a power plant consuming about $4 million in 2 days, and you're not transparent about how you procure it, if you add a cent on each even barrel, That is significant, in accumulating more debt for the power sector. So transparency across the board is important, which is not happening at this point. And we need to improve those to ensure that we are not adding more to the debt. That is the only way out. Because if we don't find a way around debt accumulation, the ESLA may have to even go up further, to ensure that we're able to repay. Because $100 million a month is just not sustainable.
So how does the debt accumulate in the first place?
So you have signed up to PPAs, you have signed up to take-or-pay gas commitments. So you are going to be paying whether you need the power or not. You're going to be paying whether you need the gas or not. So that's why I'm saying that you have to have a way to stop that, to ensure that we're not accumulating more debt.
Yes. So now that we know that this is where we are, don't we need to look at, and I remember one of the tweeters said that we should look at ways of generating a profit, or entering profitable ventures. Isn't it advisable to go heavy on industrialization so that we can use that excess capacity?
Yes, I think we have made that point. I mean, the tariff at this point doesn't encourage that speedy rate of entry into the industrial sector, because if industry is paying about 25 cents per kilowatt hour, you are competing with tariffs in China and in the rest of the world around 6-7 cents for industry. So it's even would be cheaper for you to send your pineapples to China, put them into boxes and bring them back in, and still be cheaper than what you produce in Ghana. So those are the fundamentals that we have to check. And we have proposed that even for electricity, for businesses, you don't need to put VAT on it. You could take the VAT, bring the tariff down, so that people will be encouraged to produce. Will you want to give the cheaper source of electricity to industry? For example, Akosombo could be channeled to industrial development, so that people can pay cheaper electricity to be able to compete with the rest of the world. And those are the critical decisions we have to take. And even if you do that, you'll be able to rope in a lot more people to consume the excess capacity, so that your debt even reduces. Because if the power is consumed at a reduced price, it's better than paying the full extent of the capacity charge, for sitting idle and not generating electricity.
So there's an interesting thought here, Philip, as to how we can encourage people to set up more businesses by reducing the electricity bills that they face. But looking at, because you are looking at this from like a bird's eye view, looking at this from the situation we are in where we can't raise enough money, will it be an advisable thing to do?
Okay, I would say yes.
It would?
Anything that's going to ensure productivity in a firm, that will, all things being equal, if the firm is managed properly, lead to higher cash flow, revenue, and all things being equal, profit, and then government gets a share. But on the government side, we've always been talking about tax revenue. What about the non-tax revenue?
Non-tax revenue.
Non-tax revenue. Look at the number of state-owned enterprises government has. Look at GCB giving them dividends. Imagine all the other ones became profitable also and give government some dividends. That will prop up non-tax revenue also, in addition to the tax revenue we're looking for.
You know what? This week we read that GCB has paid some dividend to government.
Exactly.
16.9.
Exactly.
Yes,
so you realize that if we start making the state-owned enterprises run efficiently as they're supposed to, like we have the GCBs, etc., government can start looking at non-tax revenue also to raise more money.
I'll come back to you on this, Mr. Boakye, because when you look at national oil companies worldwide and how much money they are raking in for their parents, for their home countries, it's amazing compared to our very own. I mean, just using that as an example, compared to our good old friends at GNPC.
I think GNPC is in a very peculiar situation. For them, we give them money based on their needs. So they are not in that position where they can be paying dividends, because we look at what their expenditure looks like, recurrent investment, and then we pay that to them. We have had problems with the way they short the budget with other needless expenditures like corporate social responsibility, which sometimes even higher than what they program to spend to build that company that can in the future begin to contribute to the state. But again, we have other companies in the energy sector. Talk about Tor, Bost, and the rest, which are supposed to make money and be able to pay dividend to the state. But they have rather become a burden, rather consuming from taxpayers all the time. And we had to take a critical look at those models to see whether we cannot change it, the dynamics, introduce some private sector investment in there to bring an independent eye over how some of those entities operate. Because, I mean, how much are we paying to Tor, for example, and whether or not we cannot retool that kind of strategy. Those are the things we really have to look at.
I would come back to Mr. Ashigbe for his thoughts on the efficiency of how state-owned institutions are run. If you're listening to us, it's 3 minutes past 9 on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. You see, so we began the conversation knowing very well that Ghana doesn't have enough money. It's like, you are a father, you have 4 kids at home, you are not making enough of a salary to take care of all of them. So now the question is, how do you raise the funds to take care of your kids? Do you borrow money? We've seen that our debt stock is very high. Or do you invest in a certain business that can make you more money? And we have so many state-owned enterprises that could be making us some wild cash, if I can use that colloquial expression. But what is stopping it? Ken Ashigbe sits on a very, very sensitive position where he has seen a one-touch move to a Vodafone and he has seen what difference that makes for the bottom line. So he'll be sharing his thoughts on some of those efficiencies we should have. Now, though, it's time for the Joy Business Minute. Listen.
Hello, good morning. It's another edition of the Joy Business Minute with me, Karen. The cost of cleaning up the finance sector could now reach 21 billion cedis by the end of this year. This is based on the new update from the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, when he presented the mid-year review to Parliament. Local governance expert Eric Oduosai has said the upward adjustment of energy levies by government is not justified if there is no accountability of the existing one. He therefore charged Ghanaians to seek accountability. The Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications says it will seek redress following government's move to increase the communication service tax to 9%. Chief Executive of the Chamber, Kenneth Ashigbe, says his office and other stakeholders would soon dialogue with government on the matter. And Chinese telecoms firm Huawei saw a sharp jump in revenue in the first half of the year, but warned of difficulties ahead. The US blacklisted a firm in May, restricting its ability to trade with US companies. And that'll be all for this morning's update. Join us again at 3:06 or more.
So we're back. That was the Joy Business Minute, and this is the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Daniel Daze. We are talking about money. How do we raise money so that we don't always need to raise taxes when budgets and mid-year reviews come around? Ken Ashigbe will be sharing his thoughts there. Mr. Ashigbe has headed a state-owned enterprise before. He is currently very neck-deep in the private sector as CEO of the Chamber of Telecommunications. He'll be sharing his thoughts. But MTN Momo, one of Mr. Ashigbe's members, is celebrating 10 years of making life simple by giving away 10 brand new Hyundai cars in the MTN Momo at 10 promo. And for the month of June, Rebecca Quay was the lucky winner of the Hyundai Grand i10 2019. Keep using your MTN Momo accounts to build points and win exciting prizes like Samsung Smart TVs, up to 3,000 Ghana cedis in e-cash, or one of the brand new Hyundai cars, including the all-new 2019 Hyundai Santa Fe, from now till the end of August. Remember, promo winners will only be called with 0244 300,000 to redeem their prizes. Dial star 120 hash to check your points. Terms and conditions apply. Go on, just Momo it. We there for you everywhere you go. Barclays Absa Group Limited has a lot in store for SMEs in Ghana. Absa is interested in supporting African businesses, specifically SMEs. We help them grow by providing finance capacity building and financial literacy programs. We supported over 140,000 SMEs and individuals across Africa. Welcome to Absa Group Limited. Absa, proudly serving you in Ghana as Barclays. Now, Robert & Sons Optical Services is now open in East Legon in Bethel House on the Boundary Road, adjacent to Pearly Gates Event Gardens and not far from the East Legon Police Station. Visit us at our ultra-modern East Legon branch for comprehensive eye care products and services for children and adults. We are open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call us on 054-799-3647 or 050-151-9111 or 0302 222-601 for more information. Robert & Sons Optical Services, now open in East Legon. Robert & Sons. Seeing is believing. All right, so Mr. Ashibe, I'm coming to you now. Why can't we run some of our state-owned enterprises well?
Well, I think that clearly you see even if you take the media environment, the state-owned enterprise in that one of the state-owned enterprises in that area, beats the rest of the media. Graphic is still doing very well. And what are the issues that are there? I think corporate governance is one of the critical things. Since our independence, we've not allowed a lot of the state enterprises to run purely on the basis of corporate governance. So we need to deepen corporate governance within this institution. A lot more, take the hands off, let the professionals run the institutions. It's not for nothing that you're seeing GCB pay all of those dividends. By virtue of the fact that they are a listed company, the corporate governance ethos that they have to work towards are quite higher. So I'm hoping that, and currently the State Enterprises Commission is really pushing to ensure that all these state enterprises run on corporate governance. I'm hoping that government would allow SEC, to do what it is doing in the path that it is on. I am a firm believer that government has roles to play when it comes to, even business, because there are some of the things by their very nature, government can do it. But how are you going to do it? Are you going to allow the space for those who manage these institutions to manage them based on competencies? That's why I'm also happy about the fact that, the Supreme Court ruling talked about the fact that when governments change, you don't immediately change chief executives. How many strategies have 4-year gestation periods? So you would want to ensure that you appoint people to these positions, either the board or the executive positions, based on merit. Make sure that the best people are running this institution.
Okay.
Most of the time, the people who run these state institutions are sharp people. The only challenge is that we tie their hands behind their back and we expect them to run. Not only does it come from government, but also the issues of the unions as well. You have unions in these institutions, weighing heavily down on them. If you take a typical example like GBC and compare that with multimedia, the freedom that, the workers here would give to a multimedia to run, you don't get that from a GBC, and there's a lot of pressure on them. So we need to make sure that all the factors of production are working very well. But ultimately, it's to set the right KPIs for them, put the right people in there, make sure that everything is based on meritocracy, provide them also with the resources. You find that in most of these institutions, some of them that I know, government as shareholder has not even invested in the business before, since incorporation. Graphic is a typical example because I know it. But, so they tend to then have to either go and borrow, and then what you then find is that they work for government because the interest would eat all of that up. How can government support these people? At some point, I know when this government came, there was the issues of some interventions that they were going to do to put money into that, but make sure that once you put it into that, they generate enough revenue to be able to pay it back. So I think sometimes for you, the media as well, you're not kind to some of the state-owned media that are doing a good job and supporting them so that they keep those who are doing a good job keep on doing what is right, and then also opening up the space in terms of governance, in terms of allowing free room for those who are also, not doing too well to be able to do well. But definitely some of the state-owned, by virtue of what they are and the fact that they might be a social good, might not be a profitable venture, but some of them can definitely just go and become, push the profitability angle and be able to generate a lot more dividends for government. And
especially when you compare to their compatriots in the private sector, because I'll take Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, for instance. I mean, a hospital of that size in the hands of any private individual, let's be serious, Mr. Ashibe, the money that will be raking, I'm not saying that they are not making any money now, but the money that will be raking.
Yes, but you see, and I completely agree with you. And it would need empowering the leadership in there, using technology to be able to take out a lot of the waste that are in the system, allowing them to be able to take some decisions that you don't have an overbearing union. So most of the time we only accuse government, but it's not all the time that is government as well.
Sometimes
it's also the union. So that when you sit in a Korle Bu like that and you have a chief executive who comes in and says that I want to run a unit within in there that people are paying for the services that they, and then be able to take the profit out there to be able to subsidize for those who cannot afford. We need to allow them the space to be able to take all of these decisions.
And, Philip, we have to also be fair that corporate governance and poor corporate governance, if I can use that expression, I use it advisedly, it doesn't only exist in the public sector, because we recently dealt with the banking sector cleanup where a state-owned bank had to come and bail out private entities because of poor corporate governance principles.
Yes, Daniel, it exists across board, both in the public and private sector. But when you look at the private sector, there's the profit-making motive. And once that is infused, that in its own also comes with its own challenges, because now we know we are just moving from profit to profit, people, planet. We don't even think about making money, but what about the people's well-being? What about the planet we are operating from or on? So yes, it exists, but at the same time, when you look at, let me use the banking sector because of my bias.
Okay.
When you look at the 70s and what happened when there was too much state interference in the banking sector, what happened? Interest rate ceilings, rationing of credit, and the banking sector came collapsing. It took these Bretton Woods institutions and then their multiplicity of programs to bring us back on track. When in the early 90s we liberalized the sector and we brought in the competition, when the Ecobanks came, the Cow banks, etc. Look at what's happened to the banking sector. Yes, you can argue that we opened the doors for more foreign players, but all things being equal, it has brought some robustness into the sector. And look at GCB. Then GCB was seen when I was a kid, and then my dad mentions GCB, I just see a bunch of old people. That's all I see, nothing more, nothing less. But look at GCB now, trying to tailor needs to everyone with their mobile tech, everything. So, and when they do this, they operate, they make money, and government can cash in on it. Underpinning all this is the whole revenue drive. Yes, we need to make money from the taxes also, but I think government should start looking at the non-tax revenue also. It's imperative and important that they do this. We need to grow the tax, all right, given. But what about the non-tax revenue? Let's start looking there and see which low-hanging fruit we can take, and then make use of it.
And what are the plans and what are the strategies in that space, Philip? I think this is the most important point I have heard when it comes to the revenue generation. Conversation, because no one likes paying taxes in the end. It's 15 minutes past 9 on your Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. I want to take a minute because I'm getting some specific questions to some of my panelists, and some of them are on the energy sector, some of them are on the telecom sector. So I'll take a few of them, and then I'll open the phone lines. In fact, I'm programmed to open the phone line now. So we'll mix those questions from the text messages with the phone lines, and you can call us on 0302 216 541. Someone wants me to acknowledge that Kena Shigbe also used to work at Multimedia Group Limited, which is not doing badly when it comes to private sector.
Which is doing very well. Some are not doing badly. Doing very well.
Okay. Let me slip in this one. It was to you, Mr. Boache. Okay. I'm not finding the exact message, but it was along the lines of, if we have excess capacity, please, you can call 0302 216 541, 0302 216 541, 0244 340 437. Mr. Boache, if we have excess capacity, why do we have doom so sometimes? Okay, why don't we have power supply to our homes in some cases?
Want me to answer it now?
Yes, answer that now before the first
right, okay. I think it comes back to the sector challenges. It's not only capacity you need. After having the capacity, you have to fuel it. Okay. And that is also a lot of money. So whilst you are paying for capacity charges, your capacity to also pay to procure fuel sometimes is challenged. And that is why we get the recurrent doom. So you have the plants sitting idle, and we can sometimes fuel them.
So we don't have the money to buy the fuel?
In the budget, the minister says doom so is over. So we're hoping that subsequently, always money will be made available to be able to buy fuel for the plants. And that's the only way you can get power running. As of now, we have the plants, but we need to fuel them.
Wow. This money issue, Charlie. Okay, so I have a question for you when you call. What do you make of the CST and ESLA increases? Are you ready to pay more? Are you ready to pay more when you make phone calls and when you buy fuel? 0302-216-541 0302-216-541. Speaking of state-owned enterprises, the Consolidated Bank Ghana (CBG) would like to inform its cherished customers and the general public that due to ongoing systems upgrade, our branches and electronic platforms will not be available for transactions from Friday, August 2nd to Monday, August 5th, or August 2 to August 5, 2019. Business will resume on Tuesday, August 6th with an upgraded system to serve you better. Some state-owned enterprises are not doing badly at all. Any inconvenience caused is deeply regretted. CBG, we stand with you. My first caller is Felix from Kwashiman. Good morning, Felix.
Good morning, Daniel.
Felix, are you ready to pay more?
I have no choice, my brother. Do I?
You don't, but are you ready?
I have to.
It's a good answer.
Yes. You know, from the way Mr. Ashibe talks, it is very, very obvious that there was no consultation with the telecoms chamber, because he's now talking about if they had thought through it, now we are going to talk to them and all that. So it tells me that this decision was taken purely by the finance minister and not in consultation with the chamber. And I'm not surprised that the oil people too will come and say the same thing. And I think it's bad.
Well, he actually went on to say that this is the first time since he became CEO of the chamber that something like this has happened and the telcos were not aware ahead of it. So, Felix, you are spot on with that observation. John is calling from Southla. Good morning, John.
Hi. Just a few contributions.
Please.
I want to say something about the tax utilization.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, as a taxpayer, if we don't see what our taxes are doing, then to me, there's no point in paying more tax. One issue is yesterday, for example, I popped into a friend's property farm. And while they were developing, the municipal assembly came and they were just collecting money from the guy saying that they don't have permit. And I'm sure within that 30 minutes, they've raking over, 1,000 cedis into their own private pocket. And I think government should be looking at ways to, rope these things in. If those guys should be pinging, the properties so that the properties are taxed properly and everybody is supposed to pay something, I think government will make enough revenue. And finally, we have been trying to pay our property tax at Dade Kotopong for 3 months. Anytime we go every week, there's no officer to collect the money. And government is still wanting to tax while people are waiting to pay. I mean, government should sit up. You want to pay toll in the toll booth, you have to queue for at times over 30 minutes to pay. Roads, getting to toll booths, really bad. Where are we going? Government should sit up.
John, what you're telling me is unbelievable. You're trying to pay your tax and there's no one there to take it.
No one to collect the money for 3 months. Every week we go there once in a week.
That's serious. The Minister for Local Government should really get on that. So should the Finance Minister. Kofi Bajemba is calling from Kumasi. Kofi, what do you make of the new tax increments?
Yes. Good morning, Daniel. This is Kofi Bajemba from Kumasi. Daniel, I see this as outrageous. I can't believe it. Listen, we used to supply Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina, Togo. We used to supply them electricity. Now, if we have excess capacity, why don't we export the excess to the other countries for foreign exchange? Well, I don't know how our leaders go down and they go and sit on the round table and, they take the policy. I don't know how they deliberate about it. We can make good money out of this. But I was disappointed, though, yesterday. I was expecting that Kumasi Rose will be mentioned or will be captured in the budget. But to my dismay, it wasn't mentioned. And I don't know what Akufo-Addo's government take us for. If you recall, not too long ago, yourself and your team transmitted from Lekma Road. And in 4 days, contractor was sent to the road and it is under construction and they have been given 6 months. We have been talking for the 3 years that Akufo-Addo's government has been in government. In Kumasi here.
Okay, so
nothing
Kofi,
is going on.
Right.
What is this?
So Kofi, I distinctly remember some roads from the Ashanti region were mentioned. I'm picking that up. But in any case, in Asino Hydro projects, we've seen that some of those were mentioned. So that's just a matter of public information. Ernest is calling from Ashaiman. Good morning, Ernest.
Yeah, Daniel, good morning.
Yes, what do you make of the new increases, CST and ESLA?
Honestly, I wanted to speak about another issue. So if you can spare.
But that's what we've been discussing all morning. What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the generators that is costing us that we are not using.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I want to plead with the NDC and NPP on this very issue. Because after thinking about the whole show, I realized that at the time they were bringing this machine, they were very desperate and they wanted to solve the problem by all means, and I'm sure they did not think of the implication. Now that the problem has been solved and we are seeing the implication, I want the NDC and the NPP, no blame game, to see how best they will solve this problem and release this machine to go back instead of them blaming themselves again. And this thing will become a political issue. I beg them, at least for this one, they should sit down and think of this nation and solve this problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling. And what you said is really, really provoking a lot of emotions in me because we are too focused on winning the argument in this country. It's not good. It doesn't help us. Abraham is calling from Kumasi. Good morning, AB.
Good morning.
Yes, let's hear you, please.
Kojo, when are we going to see one of the finance ministers dealing with the rest of Ghanaians? If only 2 million Ghanaians are paying tax or 4 million Ghanaians are paying tax, and we are 30 million, the rest of Ghanaians, when are we going to find a way of them paying tax? I'm a teacher. My salary is 18 million, and I pay, or 20 million, I pay around 20 million. I pay more than 3 million tax a month, every month. Somebody take a contract, roofing a house, and takes more than 4,000, 5,000, and he doesn't pay tax because he's a carpenter or because I don't know what to say. He's a mason going to work every day, 1 million every day. In a month, 30 million, or 20 million if it is even working days. And he's not paying tax. And what are we saying? But I am a teacher. I want to, when will the government see the need of cutting the food that he gives to the secondary school children and leaving the primary school children, the JSS children, because he wants people to vote for him. He is giving food to the secondary school children freely, giving them clothing, 5 school uniforms. When is the government going to cut those expenditures? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abraham, for calling from Kumasi. Peter T is calling from Sukura. Good morning, Peter.
Yeah, good morning, my brother.
Mm-hmm.
My brother, how are you?
I'm blessed, though. Yourself?
I'm fine. But things are still not just moving well. That's our problem, especially about this taxation something. I just want to register my discomfort.
Peter? Hello, Peter. Oh, unfortunately, we lost him there. Your text messages are brought to you by Afrodan, your back must last you a lifetime, and Glyco Critical Illness Plan, GSIP. Glyco, we cushion you for life. You can call us on 0302-216-541, 0244-340437. What do you make of the increments in CST and ESLA? Are you ready to pay more for your phone calls and for your fuel? Daniel, do our leaders buy call credits and internet bundles? If yes, no problem. But if no, then my fellow citizens, we should sit up. Now we are sleeping. You wrote it like that. Now we are sleeping. My last caller is Omusumuru calling from Doma Bing. Good morning, Omusumuru.
Good morning, Daniel. How are you?
I am blessed. Yourself?
I'm fine. God bless you for the good work you are doing for Ghana. You see, Daniel, let me tell you, there's no country on this earth that can do anything without tax. Okay? You see, how do you work without paying your tax? And how do you expect the country to develop. Okay, so to me, you see, this telecommunication companies, they have developed strategy. When you introduce tax to one, maybe if it is a phone call, then they change it to another thing, maybe WhatsApp, Facebook. You see, so it is good that they introduce some tax on other things so that I'm okay paying it. I don't mind paying it. Once they will use it well,
okay,
I don't mind paying it.
Okay.
Another thing, they were saying that people are saying that MPC has introduced a lot of tax because of free SHS. If you should pay something for your child to go to school free, why not? You see, people should stop playing politics over everything in this country. That is why we are not developing. And let me tell you, there is not only taxes that can develop a country. We should also focus on production. You see, when we focus on production, it will also help us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Omusumuru, for calling us from Domabing. Afrodan is offering you today the most comfortable chair in the world, the Nightingale Extreme Comfort Chair. It has over 10 thoughtfully engineered features, especially customized for your health and comfort. So working has never had is this good. Go to Afrodan on the first floor of the Swansea Shopping Arcade and feel this chair. You'll be amazed. Call us on 0302 663 085. I'm going to take final comments from Mr. Ken Ashigbe, CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, after which Mr. Ben Boache, Executive Director for the Africa Center for Energy Policy, will speak, and then Philip Namfuri will have the final word. Kingdom Books and Stationery Back to School promotion is here with us once again from the 1st of August to 30th September 2019. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited is giving a generous 10 to 50% discount on all school items like textbooks, pens, pencils, erasers, exercise books, and much more across all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Takrade, and Cape Coast. Parents, teachers, and students, please hurry while stocks last. For more information, contact us on 0302 764 101 or 0302 764 209 or email info@kingdomgh.com. You can also visit our website kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books, where quality and affordability are both assured. Terms and conditions apply. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stock shop for all office essentials, stationery and furniture. Before I bring the wrapping comments, let me read a few comments that have come through. I'm very confident in the government of the MPP and the Minister of Finance will make Ghana great again because the luxury tax is no more. What a listening government. Good morning, Daniel and your guest. If government would apply prudence in the way we spend our scarce resources, we would have been better off and debt-free. Daniel, majority of Ghanaians don't pay taxes, electricity bills, or even any form of utility bills. The few are overburdened by the continuous increases. We raise money to spend anyhow, especially on needless cars. Why? Good morning, Daniel. There's something I don't understand about this excess power capacity issue. Okay, this is the one that Ben Wache answered earlier. If we have excess power we don't need, why are we still having doomsday in some parts of the country? I can't think far. Ifo Kofi in Tema. Good morning. Good morning, Daniel. To me, I think the media budget review is robbing Peter to pay Paul. Scrubbing taxes on luxurious vehicles and increasing taxes on telecommunications is a killer to those who earn less. Ajman Joseph, Tema, Community 9. Thomas from Afinia sent a long one. Good morning, Daniel. It's so shameful that as a government and as a nation, we agreed to sign a power purchase agreement and also agreed to a ridiculous clause in the agreement which mandates us to cough up a whopping sum of $24 million monthly for excess capacity, which is not benefiting us in any way. This sort of agreement speaks volumes about our mindsets and conscience as a people. Let's grow up by thinking right. Daniel, no Ghanaian will agree to voluntarily pay tax because of the massive corruption and wastage in the system. Until our leaders behave responsibly and also lead by example, they can make all the noise, but nothing can change. May God save us. All right, so let me come back to for final comment. But there's an interesting comment from Charles Reku Brobe. We all call him Tarzan. What I can't fathom is that ASEP's founding fathers are now in charge of Ghana's energy sector. So what is preventing the implementation of the solutions Mr. Ben Boache says they espoused in 2015 on ESLA, capacity charges, etc. He's tweeting with the hashtag JoySMS. So Boache will answer that in his final comments. So Mr. Ashigbe, first of all, your final words on the discussion.
Well, definitely, cybersecurity is a critical thing for all of us. So we would, as an industry, you would want to ensure that happens, because it would guarantee the sustainability of the ecosystem. But what the point we make is the fact that we need to ensure that the whole digitization drive, which is an imperative for this country, if we want to get out of this, underdevelopment and ensure that the president's Ghana Beyond Aid happens. And so we do not think that the CST is the best way of funding this. But we are open and we hope that we'll be able to engage the ministry to be able to look at other ways in which we would be able to generate a lot more taxes. We say that a large percentage of us are really not paying the taxes that we ought to pay, and it would take a lot more innovation. It will take a lot more, rethinking the way we do our things to be able to let this happen. But for an industry that already pays 40%, back to government in forms of taxes, regulatory fees and all of that, increasing the incidence of tax on it itself, really it's not in the interest of the country. And we hope that we'll be able to sit with the policymakers and the regulators to really be able to look at that to see how do we ensure that we can increase Ghana's revenue growth envelope, so that we will be able to fund the things that we do. And not only that, would we also be able to cut out a lot of the waste, cut out a lot of the inefficiency when it comes to generating this revenue. And definitely if we are able to push the government people to government payment, go digital, definitely that is going to increase the cash that comes to the government.
True. I have a friend who runs a hospital in Koforidua, and he was telling me that when he moved to digital payments in his hospital, his daily cash, because there's also NHIS payments, the daily cash moved from about 200 cedis to about 1,000 cedis per day.
But then we've seen it in the tourism sector when digital revenues increased by fourfold. So definitely. Already government is seeing that already, and I think we should do a lot more of that.
And let's see what becomes of that conversation between the chamber and government. Mr. Boache, your final comments? Though I have already put up a question from Tarzan.
Oh, I don't think Tarzan wanted me to answer that question. I think he understands how government works, and we cannot reduce the problems in the sector to individuals, because finances in the energy sector, players are in there. I think we have to fix that problem by understanding what we need to do as a country and pushing government to actually deliver on that. And that's what ASEP is passionate about, and our positions are always clear that we need to put government to account to ensure that they deliver to the people. We cannot continue to recklessly give money away into different economies, from the poor people of this country. And we have to fix it. $100 million bill for us, as a country every month is no joke. And like I mentioned, the debt accumulation, we have to fix it. We have to make sure that we can freeze the recurrence of these debt and ensure that we can solve the energy sector problem. If we don't fix that, we'll continue to pay ESLA, we'll continue to adjust it year after year, and the solution will definitely not come. And the decisions also has to do with this government also, not just fixing contracting issues, but recurrent problems like fuel procurement, and also opening up the space to ensure that there's greater transparency on how contracts are awarded, regardless of how small it is in the energy sector. That is what is required, to bring sanity in the sector.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boache. And in 30 seconds, Philip.
Yeah, the work is hard. I mean, the task is Herculean, uphill battle.
That's tall as you are.
I'm sure even taller than I am. But that's why they are there, to solve our problems for us. So we should give them all the support, but then there's more room for improvement. That's all I'll say.
Thank you very much, Philip Namfuri. Not much to be said in terms of final words, but the thing is that I just want to make this point about winning the argument. And I was saying that from yesterday, I've had so many phone calls from different people from different sides of the political divide trying to win the argument. and not actually addressing what the problem is. The problem is we don't have money and we need to raise money. That's the point. So let's begin to have a conversation about how we can raise money. Not this government has signed this and this person has gone here and it is because of you and why didn't you? No. Let's stop trying to win the argument and let's try to solve the problem. And that's why we had the show we had this morning. That's what you should be demanding from your elected officials. We'll take these important messages. When we come back, some people very familiar, I'm sure, to Mr. Ashigbe will be joining us in studio. Our friends from MTN are here as we talk about Momo at 10. You never know what you could win. Prizes raining all over because of MTN Momo. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
At Afrodan, we believe that many of the problems people have with their health